You ever thought that wine would pair well with music? Welcome to House UnCorked, a full, rich, flavored series of podcasts that are all about sharing a story, opinions on wine choices, and pairing that vibe with a live house music set. It's fun, real, raw, and positive conversations between wine pairing and house music. Now, join DJ Dave right now for this week's episode of House UnCorked.
Okay, everybody, listen, welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of House UnCorked. We had a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit because of this COVID, and we're back on, and we're doing it, and it's actually, you know, my special guest tonight obviously would have been in my studio, but we're doing it virtually just to keep our social distance and so forth. And I'd like to welcome Jason Rumball. Jason, thank you very much for coming on board tonight in my podcast. And I'm welcoming you to House UnCorked.
Oh, thanks for having me, Dave. And it's a pleasure to be on your show.
It's you know, I have to admit, we got to tell our fans that we tried to do this last week, right. And unfortunately, you know, we had a great meeting, a great interview. It's like, you know, and I go to retrieve it, and I can't find it, and it's I think I forgot to save it, and that was a bonehead move on my part. But Jason, listen, welcome to House UnCorked, and you know, I just wanted to let you know that it is an honor to have you on board as part of our you know, this house music community, and just part of my podcast of basically just pairing up you know, great wine. I did have a lot of wine last time, as we talked about last time, right. But I'm having a glass of it right now. So
good for you.
Yeah, you know, we all have to just enjoy ourselves, like we talked about. You know, you've been in the house music community. We've known each other, the house music scene, and all the meetings and all the parties that we attended. You're actually part of my Toronto House Music Festival, which we'll talk a bit more about it for 2021, and I think it's great you're on board. You're going to be taking care of, Jason's going to be taking care of all the radio aspects of broadcasting when it comes time to the 2021, which, Jason, you know, you're going to be full on all day on the radio about the festival, and I'm happy you're on board with doing this.
Me too. I can't wait for that. And yeah, because of COVID, you know, a lot of things are going to be canceled for 2020, and I think 2020 is pretty much canceled for a lot of things that are happening. So it's great that we're going to be able to continue on with the Toronto House Music Festival next summer in 2021.
This year is a complete write-off when it comes time to the open music festivals. Virtual ones have now started to creep up. And you'll notice that we did one. It was a Music Unite, and it was a virtual music festival, which we had a ton of DJs, 24 hours of 2 days of great music. That was awesome. I'm glad you tuned in. You had a great time because you were on there like, I think you were there for 24 hours just listening to the music, you know.
Yeah, maybe I didn't sleep that much, but yeah, just DJ after DJ, a lot of local DJs. You know, some of them I've had on my radio show, The Block Party, before, but then there's some that I've never heard of before, or heard of but never seen them perform, and just to you know, in the comfort of our own homes. This is such a neat thing that because we can't go dancing to the club or you know, it's great. We could just tune in anytime we want. And as we're talking about just before going on live, that Zoe Thorne, a mutual friend of ours, that's going to be a part of the House Music Festival next year. She does her live Take Me to Church every Sunday morning. So it's great to have her doing live. So it's great to have, you know, a lot of local DJs and even some of the big name DJs.
You know, tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm a host of a dance music show on Whistle FM, a community radio station here in Stouffville called The Block Party, every Saturday from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern time. And, you know, before coming to Stouffville, like I never knew they had a community radio station here, and I was doing internet radio. Started off with that since, I guess, 2006. And, you know, was doing that. A friend of mine, DJ Sparky from Ottawa, you know, him and I got talking, and you know, we both you know, found out that we had a love of dance music. So we you know, we're looking around online for a place to, you know, showcase our music and do a radio show. And I've never done a radio show before, but Pat's had the experience of doing radio shows before. So we figured out how to start up our own internet radio station, and things kind of went from there. And Pat gave me the confidence to to speak on the air, and then we ended up building up quite the reputation. We had a lot of listeners from the States and that, so we're known as the two crazy Canucks, and we'd have a good time having our rum and things like that, and playing our dance music and whatever. And having a good time. And then was a volunteer for Rogers TV. I thought, I was doing the radio thing. And then, at home, just kind of, feeling down for myself. And my sister said, why don't you, get out and do some volunteer work? There's Rogers TV just around the corner from our, they had an opening to do for a videotape operator.
Awesome.
And I thought that's a really great experience to learn how to do a videotape operator. So I really enjoyed that experience. And then I got talking to this one girl. She knew about my internet radio show, and she said, there's a community radio station there, and they're looking for volunteers and that. And so she said, why don't you call them up and see about doing a radio show there. So we're trying to figure out what kind of show I'd like to do. And I've always been a fan of dance music. Like my sister, who donated a kidney to me almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
She was a big fan of house music back in the day, going to the clubs. And so she actually got me into dance music when I was 11 or 12. And, I used to listen to Chris Shepherd's pirate radio show every Saturday and, watch Electric Circus. And that's where my love of dance music, came about. And I thought, here's a great opportunity for me to, be on an FM station. I thought this is really cool. A small town in, Stouffville, Ontario has an FM station. So I thought this is a great opportunity to get some experience and host my own dance music show. And then a friend of mine, Paul Alfano, who you know, he was
big up to Paul, man.
Big up to Paul. He was hosting a fundraiser down in Toronto at the Lily Lounge for Canadian Cancer Society. So he invited me down to the event, and from there I got to meet a lot of local DJs that Paul has known for many years in the scene. Some of them have used to DJ back in the 80s and 90s, and some of them were still active over the years, but some of them retired. They got married, raised a family, and wanted to get back into DJing. So they signed on to do Paul's event for Canadian Cancer Society, and that's where I got to meet a lot of the local DJs. Some of them have been on TV and radio before. Some of them have, appeared on Electric Circus or been on, some of the big FM radio stations like Energy 108 and stuff like that back in the day. So but then there were some that haven't DJ'd that often or never really got the opportunity to be on radio. So Paul thought, here's a great opportunity, for myself to expand on my content for my show and get some local DJs to appear on my show. So, I'm getting, more of a following for DJs. I'd like to, expand my show from 1 hour to 2. And originally when my show started off, it was a 1 hour show. I had my own producer, and so, as I got to learn how to produce my own show, expanded to 2, and I was able to feature more DJs and give more of a local feel to really meet the needs of community radio, which is more promoting the DJs that and artists that people don't hear about or don't get the exposure that they deserve on commercial radio, but never get that opportunity.
Right. And I think that and you touched on the fact that there are DJs that are well known. They've been on TV, been on radio, they've been around the world, but in the Toronto scene, there's some DJs that are like all the DJs that we know we've interviewed or we've played with or spoken to and so forth. They haven't been on the radio, and you did kickstart a lot of their confidence, let's say, bringing them onto your shows type of thing to get their music out there. Is that correct?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I've, some of the DJs that I've gotten to know, over the 8 years, as I got to know other, radio shows doing the same thing, that I thought, say, hey, maybe you should, reach out to this radio host. They would love to have you on their show. And it's all about just trying to get them out there, trying to get them exposed and maybe get a DJ gig here and there if they can. I know it's very hard in Toronto to get a DJ gig, but
it is so difficult to get a gig. There are so many DJs out there, a lot of DJs, and to get parties out there, it's a tough market. I mean, everyone, and you and I know that, there's a lot of DJs that like to become DJs that are like DJs now, and they just started off, and there's so many out there. But you and I got to know, and Paul, and who's well respected in the DJ community as promoting music as well as a DJ with Pietro. These guys are top notch guys. They know the game. They've been around. Um, they have huge mad respect for you. Everyone knows Jason Rumball. Everyone knows him. You're a guy that people say, hey man, this guy got me on the show. This guy got me here. Like for instance, Jack Man Jones, good friend of yours, good friend of mine.
Right.
He's mad respect for the guy. He's he has, he does a lot of work with you in his shows and in your show and so forth. So big up to Jack Man about keeping you involved and busy in the house music scene, which is great. I'd like to touch up on the fact that you do have a kidney disease, correct?
That's right. Right now, I'm on kidney dialysis. I do the kidney dialysis 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And because of this whole COVID business, a lot of transplants, like kidney transplants and things like that, are on hold right now. So
Right.
even if I was able to find a kidney donor, like that's my ultimate goal, is to find somebody that's living that is able
Right.
to donate a kidney. Waiting list could be anywhere from 2 to 5 years, which is quite a long time. So I'm hoping to find a living donor, but
Right.
until this COVID business is over and that they resume kidney transplants, that's on hold right now. But
For sure.
I'm been putting the information out there on social media to tell people that I am still looking for a living donor, and to what they could do to help to get tested, and they
Right.
can do the blood tests and all the different ultrasounds and all the things
Right.
that you need to do to determine if you're a healthy candidate or not for a kidney donor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you said the dialysis, you're at 3 times a week, and it's
Yeah.
4 hours.
4 hours per
Time.
treatment. Yeah.
I mean, I have total respect for the fact that you can have the patience to sit there. It's obviously as part of your lifestyle now, obviously as part of the health of your lifestyle. And
Right.
what do you normally do to take up that time of 4 hours a time? So 12 hours. So what do you do to take up that time?
Well, they have TVs there, so catch up on the news, and when we had the sports on, like the Leafs and
Right.
Raptors and things like that, I'd watch the Raptors game, or I would listen to some podcasts and things like
Hmm.
that, or listen to music.
Right.
And the nurses and the patients there, as go there 3 times a week, you become a part of a family, so you get to know the nurses quite well. And
Right.
they a lot of them have a great sense of humor. They love to joke
Sure.
around, and you keep your spirits up during the time that you're there. So we have fun. It's dialysis isn't a pleasant thing to do, knowing that there's going to be nice nurses there to take care
Sure.
of you, and
Absolutely.
make sure you make the most
Hmm.
of your time there,
Now,
which is.
yeah, for sure. Now, what about the like? Is this procedure or placement far from where you are?
It's about a 25-minute drive. Like, I'm in Stouffville, and it's over in Oak Ridges, so just north
Gotcha.
the north end of Richmond Hill there. So it's not too far away.
And when you are taking dialysis, they automatically put your name on a list, correct? For the transplant?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, once your kidney fails and you are need dialysis,
Right.
that's when they because the hospital that I'm affiliated with for the kidney transplant is St. Michael's Hospital. So they
Gotcha.
notify St. Michael's Hospital that I'm on dialysis, and kind of
Mhm.
get the process started. I talked about all the tests that they do for the kidney donor, but
Yes.
they also have to do tests on me. They have to make sure that I'm healthy enough,
Right.
despite my kidney problem, to be able to go through a kidney transplant. So
Mhm.
they do regular checks on you, blood tests, and ultrasounds and things like
Right.
that, and they check your heart and your lungs and everything to make sure that there's no other
Sure.
serious issues to be dealt with.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, when you were growing up, And did you realize, or did you feel anything that something was up?
No, I mean, like the first time I had, kidney disease, I had no idea that I was going through it. I
Mhm.
was only born with one kidney, and as a
Okay.
child, so as a child, I would go to sick kids, and
Mhm.
over time, things, there was some issues, but they, dealt with them, but it wasn't to the point
Right.
where I needed a new kidney. But
Mhm.
so I was going to college at the time, so I was about, 21 years old, and I
Mhm.
was, quite sick, and had nausea, vomiting, very tired, that sort of thing,
Right.
and having no idea what was going on. And I had
Jeez.
some blurry vision in my eye. I went for a routine eye exam, and I
Mhm.
had some blurry vision in my eye, and the doctor said, there's something not right with your eye. Maybe you should go to the hospital and get it checked out. You're bleeding in your eye. And so I go
Mhm.
to the hospital, and they didn't really, check me fully there. They didn't, do a blood pressure, any vital signs, which was kind of weird. So they said, I'm not too sure what's going on. Just we'll arrange for you to see an eye specialist. So I went to see the eye specialist, and he said, "Have you had your blood pressure checked lately?" And I said, "No." And so he checked my blood pressure. My blood pressure was quite high. So he said, "You got to go to the hospital right away." It was 220 over
Wow.
130. It was quite
Jesus.
quite extreme. So he said, "Go to the
Mhm.
hospital right away and get things checked out," because they thought, am I gonna have a heart attack or a stroke? They didn't know
Right.
what was happening, and
Right.
so they did a whole bunch of tests. And considering I've had, a number of medical issues, they wanted to, do all these tests to kind of figure out, what was
Mhm.
going on. And so some blood tests came back, and that's when they figured out that my, what they call the creatinine level, and that gives you an
Right.
overall picture of your kidney function, and it was quite high. So
Mhm.
they said, yeah, we got to call in a kidney specialist. Your kidney isn't doing too good. And when I was, feeling, unwell before this, went to my family doctor, and he said, "Oh, you just have the flu. Don't worry about it." And I wish he would have checked
Mm.
into my history further, thinking, "Oh, Jason's only got one kidney. He's got bladder
Right.
issues. Maybe there's something
Right.
else going on here." But
Right.
a lot of times they say with kidney disease, at first it looks like the flu, so they don't really, once they,
Right.
until they do a blood test, they really can't see for sure. So it was a shock to me and my family that I had kidney disease. And when I was in the hospital, they did what they could to see if they can save the kidney, but it was too late, and I would need a dialysis eventually. So yeah,
Mhm.
this was back in, 97, 98. And so I was put on dialysis, and I did that for about a year, 9 months at the
Right.
York Central Hospital in Richmond Hill. So 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday,
Okay.
Friday, 4 hours per treatment. And then
Okay.
it was on my 23rd birthday. My sister, we're just having a chat in the kitchen. She I had no idea she's going to tell me this, or that she's going to do this. And she said, "I'm going to, save your life with the kidney."
Wow.
She see me growing up, going to hospitals and
Right.
having surgeries and tests and things like that. And she
Mhm.
really couldn't do anything about it. But now, she hated seeing me on dialysis and going through this. And I was only, 21, 22 at the time. I was very young. So
Mhm.
she wanted to, step in and do something about it. And so then she ended up donating a kidney to me on January 18th, 2000. And
That is, you know what, honestly, that is, it is a beautiful story about how that came about and how your sister, just stepped up and did that for you, which was unbelievable. Now, uh, with this kidney, did you have to go on anti-rejection pills with this?
Yeah, so like right after the transplant, like the transplant worked right
Mhm.
away, but to prevent any rejection of the
Right.
kidney and anything like that, you have to
Mhm.
go on some very powerful medication. I was on like maybe three or four
Okay.
different medications to what it does is suppress the immune system, so it
Right.
increases your risk of getting an infection. And especially now in the COVID times, like I have friends that have met that have you know had kidney transplants and liver transplants, are
Yes.
on anti-rejection medication. So I'm,
Right.
with COVID going on right now in the community, I'm quite worried about them. And
No
so
kidding.
take your medication on time, but also to
Mhm.
take care of yourself, wash your hands, as they're telling us with COVID, to stay home if you're sick.
And you have a ton of people supporting you in your journey to get a transplant, including um, last year, I believe we did. There was a fundraiser in your name, Jams for Jason. I had the opportunity to record the live stream there and to do live to air from the
Sidewalk Cafe.
yes, the
T-
Sidewalk
T-
Cafe.
T&M Sidewalk Cafe.
That's right, and
Yeah.
great little cafe, great venue to have a party of this such nature is awesome, and this was great because we had DJs that played in honor of you. You were there. You came to party. You brought your dancing shoes on. You got your drinks flowing out there. It was kind of cool seeing you out there, which is great. A lot of great DJs, and and raised some money for the Kidney Foundation, which was fantastic. And I think that when people realize that it doesn't matter, if it's a kidney, if it's anything that's related to an organ that's a disease, it is tough. I mean, there's massive amounts of medication, and you have to watch out where you go, who you see, and the COVID side of things, Jason, it's just crazy. I mean, you got to be like super extra careful, even just like going outside out the door. It's crazy.
I put a mask on. I have my own, thanks to my friend Tina. She made me a Blue Jays mask, so I'll put my mask on, and yeah, you have to be so careful. Like,
Right.
as soon as I get to the clinic, they have the hand sanitizer, so I'll hand sanitize, and
Mhm.
careful that going on the elevator, not to touch the elevator button,
Right.
and once I get off the elevator, the nurse is there to check you over, check your
Right.
temperature, and ask you about symptoms, and make sure there's been no changes from the last time you had your treatment, because with this COVID, things can happen so fast, so they want to make sure that you're still doing in good health, and that you're if you do have COVID, that you're not at any risk of passing it on to the nurses or other patients and that sort of thing. So they really take all the precautions necessary to make sure that you're safe,
Mhm.
and that you have a good treatment, and that you're fine.
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
I asked you, like when you are before your dialysis, what do you feel like? Does your body, do you feel like a bloated? Do you feel any pain, let's say, before you go to dialysis?
No, not really pain. I mean, because as I was saying, I go dialysis Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So, the weekend, you're off the machine, Saturday, Sunday. So, um, on a Monday morning, I'd feel a little bit tired, and yeah, like maybe, not as well as I was, a couple of days ago. So you're, in some ways you're, anxious to get on the machine, and get, cleaned out, and that sort of thing. So not so much pain, but more, tired, and depending on when my treatment is, like, tomorrow a lot of times my treatments are usually in the evening, but sometimes I'll go in the morning or afternoon. So,
And your diet basically would have to, I guess, would have to change from before, obviously.
right. No, because, with your kidney, like what a normal kidney does is it filters out the excess toxins, and the elements that you have in food. Like, some of them
Right.
are higher in potassium and phosphorus. So when your kidney isn't working well, like whatever you
Mhm.
eat can build up in the body. So that's where you have
Sure.
to really choose wisely, the foods that are lower in these things, so that your body can, tolerate it,
Right.
more. And then, the dialysis, sure, it does help, going 3 days a week, but then you got to think that, the other 4 days that you're not on the machine, you really have to
Right.
be careful, how much you drink and
Sure.
what you eat and that sort of thing. So it's,
Speaking
yeah.
speaking of drinking, though,
Uh-huh.
we do have you do have your occasional drink once in a while, and I guess that's okay, correct?
It is, yeah. Like the dietitian told me that, sure, you have to, watch what you eat and drink, but
Right.
the occasional time, feel free to, treat yourself to your favorite beverage, or
Right.
if you have a favorite snack or, food that you like to eat, you can have it, but have it in a
Right.
small portion, but,
Gotcha.
treat yourself to, what you want once in a while.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm and that and again that also it ties into the music side. So when you're obviously when you're you're feeling listen, everyone gets in a little bit of a rut, and we all
Mhm.
get into a little bit of a rut that you are aware, you are educated about this, and you're taking the proper measures to continue to to basically stay alive, basically, right? So um so going back to the music side of things, I don't know about you, but when you let's say you're in a slump, I mean everyone gets in a little bit of slump. Do you find music just takes you to a different level, correct?
It does, definitely. Like, we're talking about the James or Jason. Like, yeah, like I was when I was going through the health issues, being in the hospital last year. Well, that's how
Mhm.
I heard about this James or Jason. I got a call from Paul. He called me up at the hospital. I was quite sick and feeling down, and I was quite worried I wasn't going to make it. Like, that's how sick I was. And
Sure.
Paul called me up, and he saw my post on Facebook about what I've been going through, and he felt bad, and he said,
Mhm.
we would like to, do this event for you in your honor. And I was just so,
Fantastic.
so amazed that he wanted, him and all my friends wanted to do this. And
Right.
when I came down to Toronto for the event, and it just made me feel so good to see my friends and just to be on the dance
Yeah.
floor and just get back to to doing that. Like, I wasn't going out for quite a long time, just dealing
Right.
with my health issues. So just being down there doing that, and
Sure.
now with COVID, and watching these DJ live streams and do my radio shows,
Mhm.
it's the music, how it makes you feel so much better. And like when I
It
was going
does.
through my hospital stay last year, like I experienced tremors. I've never experienced tremors before. I was quite scared about that, and so
Hmm.
I put on some house music, put on the headphones, and just about instantly I was calmed down. I was really getting into the music, and I was feeling
That's
so much
awesome.
better. So it's amazing how music can heal you when you're really in a at a low time in your life, for sure.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. I mean, it's
Yeah.
for everybody. I mean, like even days like I mean, I did a posting. I don't know. I think it was yesterday, and my dog Marley gives me this look that she wants to go outside. So I know that it's either and she can just change my mood. If ever I'm having a bad day, she'll just change it. But music will do that if I can't get to the music in time or get to music to really help me out. I know that there's other measures that I have that I can do that, and to go with the music side of things, and with this mental health, and and COVID, COVID's part of our life now,
It
and
is.
it is, and it basically has changed um our ways of living for the future. And that's just my opinion, but to me, honestly, Jason, I think the lifestyle we had, let's say a year ago, I don't think we're going to ever have that free will, that carefreeness that we've had before in the future. If you do you agree with that at all?
I agree, definitely. I think, yeah, COVID's really, put a, a real perspective on the way we live our life, and COVID. Hopefully, we can find a vaccine sooner than later that we can, start to, get back to some sort of normal.
Hmm.
But I don't think there will be a full normal that we've had before. So, interacting like how we are now online and that sort of thing, I think that'll be the way that a lot of people will have to, connect for the next several months until the restrictions are eased and we can slowly get back to seeing our friends and
Right.
family. And
Yeah.
but I think, yeah, I think for many years there's going to be a different way that we're going to be interacting with each other, for sure.
And that brings to a good point that even with this music festival that we're gonna have, that we're gonna hopefully have for next year, like we don't know, like we're gonna anticipate, and we're gonna assume, and we're gonna carry forward that this is gonna happen. But even still, like you look at the way the world is today, and you look at the fact that, you're going to have a big festival, you're going to have thousands of people at our festival, guaranteed,
Mm.
and they're all together. You think that they're going to be all together? Honestly, I think they're going to try to be like apart, like maybe like at least an arm's length apart from each other, not crowded, or rubbing up against each other and drinks spilling everywhere. Like I don't know. I mean, things are going to change, and I think it's going to be less people, or a controlled amount of people at big festivals, I think, to be honest with you.
I think so too. Yeah, like just thinking of all the different things, like a concert or even
Right.
a sporting event. I mean,
Sure. Movie
just
theaters,
movie theaters where people are in a closed space. So I think all these businesses are,
Mm,
maybe now they're kind of thinking of, once we get back to business, how are we going to ensure the safety of the fans and the
right.
customers and things like that to, that there's not going to be a second wave. They talk about, oh, there's going to be another wave, and that sort of thing. And so I think the safety of people is going to be top of mind, on how we can go
Right.
ahead and live our lives, but also maintain safety when it comes to a Toronto House Music Festival, or
Right.
whatever's out there.
Sure. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's going to change, and it's going to be for the positive. We're going to cope with it. We're going to deal with it. Um, we're going to adapt to it. We talked about the music styling, the virtual concerts, the virtual festivals, and that's all going to be this. And listen, we're having our virtual meeting, like you'd be normally in my studio today,
Right.
you
Right.
know and unfortunately we can't, but hey, you know what, we make the best of it. This is actually kind of cool because
It is.
you're in the comfort of your own studio, I'm in my studio, and but to go back, Jason, like, I really, I really commend on how positive you are. Every single time that you and I would speak or converse online or whatever, you're very positive, you're a positive guy, and I think people should really migrate to you, get your vibe from you, because there's a lot of people that are really get affected by this, listen, losing their jobs, or not working, staying home. Like, I mean, the people are staying home,
Yes.
and it's like, what do I do, and what do I like, what there's so many things you can do, granted, to a certain point, but like, you can talk to anybody. People can get a hold of you, Jason, and say, hey, listen, man, like, I'm feeling a little bit shitty today, can I talk to you about it? I mean, you'd be like, damn right, brother, I'll help you out, we'll talk, let's talk, man. and
Exactly.
and people should be able to reach out to you, to anybody, in this need of like a comfort of adapting to this new type of environment. So, or just say, reaching out to you, say, hey man, just reaching out, how are things today, and be like, holy crap, and this guy just reached, that's awesome. So it, to me, Jason, it changes a lot of attitudes, a lot of perspective to people, by just reaching out and say, hello, how's it going.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because you're just a click away, or, phone call away. And
Right.
yeah, no, I think that's important to, check in with your friends. If there's a friend or family member you haven't talked to in a
Mhm.
while, reach out to them and just say, hey, and, if you want to, spend an hour or two, catching up,
Right.
that's fine. Or just a simple, 5-minute conversation. I
That's
think
it.
that, goes a long way. Or just a text, or, that sort of thing, anything
Yeah.
that'll just, put a smile on somebody's face, or if you want to, if you have a funny joke you want to send them, or anything to kind of brighten their day, to
Absolutely, man.
just do that.
And I think everyone does it a little differently. Like, you see a lot of DJs streaming online, and sometimes, to me, I think that that's their escape to say, hey man, this is what I love to do. I'm just going to take my mind off the crap that's going on around the world and play music for people. And if you agree with me, I think it's like online, you're seeing it more of the DJs that, even though they're home, they're enjoying playing music for everybody online.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because a lot of them, obviously all the clubs are closed down. So,
Right,
I'm sure a lot of them are really wishing that this, lockdown was over. They can get back
right,
to the club and do that sort of thing. So, but now, they have the technology. They can do it from their own home. They have all their, equipment at home,
right,
so they could just,
right.
quickly go online and reach out to their fans and,
Sure.
play an hour set or longer and
Right.
just really get into something that they enjoy doing.
And just like and just engaging with their fans and their friends and family that, hey man, I'm here, I'm still being positive about it. Here's a great set. Like you look at Bob Sinclair. You bring up the name Bob Sinclair. This guy's bouncing around, jumping around.
Oh,
his
yeah.
his studio it's craziness going on there. Like he's
Oh, it
having a
is. Yeah.
fantastic time,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, he sure is. Yeah. Oh, he's having
and
a great
and
set there. And
Yeah, I mean, he plays
yeah.
great music, but that's what drives people to like glued into them and say, "Holy crap, this guy's like, he's loving it. He's on fire, right?" So it's
Oh, he is. Yeah.
fantastic, right? But
Oh, for sure.
speaking of DJs, I mean, um, something tells me that you were looking into getting into DJing. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I've had doing the show for almost 8 years, the block party, and then
Hmm.
seeing the DJs, going to their events when we had the clubs open, in person, and now watching them online. I've thought, you know, it's great to have all these DJs doing these great things, and I've gotten to know a lot of local DJs. Maybe I can, learn to DJ myself. I don't have all the equipment right now, so I'm hoping to get some equipment and be able to,
Hmm.
practice at home and
Sure.
maybe get one of the local DJs to teach me how to do it. I was been watching them, but
Hmm.
to watch them is one thing, but to practice and do it on your own is another thing. So
Right. We talked about this before, and it's like, you have so many people that would just drop things and go and help you and say, hey, man, come to my studio. And I'll tell you right now, just when this all blows over, you are more than welcome to come down here. The basics of DJing, the basics of just in being confident and curating your music, I will help you do what you can. Everyone else will help you. A matter of fact, I have a controller that I'm gonna let you borrow. So I'm gonna put it aside for you. I'm gonna
awesome.
find
Thank
some
you.
time. Hey man, my pleasure. I'm gonna find some time for you. I'm gonna send it off to you, and you practice at home. You do your thing. It's all about just practicing, and
It
it's
is.
about taking the time away from thinking about you know the I guess the kidney disease and
Right.
all this stuff. This will, I'm telling you, you're gonna stay up like long nights. You're gonna go past. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, because you're gonna want to be like, I gotta keep trying. I keep practicing,
Exactly.
and
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
so
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. Because no, I'd love to get practicing and that sort of thing. And
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that it's a great, whether it's going to be a business side of things or just a great hobby,
Right.
but, either way, you're prepared for whatever it comes time to, whether someone says to you, hey, Jason, man, can you do a little fundraiser for me? Or can you play a couple hours of music for, in between we're doing this, and this, you're ready to go.
Right. Right.
You're ready to go. So with our house music community so close here, they've embraced you. You've been a big influence for a lot of them to get back into DJing online, just to, like we talked about, kickstart their DJing confidence. Everyone enjoys having you around and having your presence. You're a big part of our house music community, and I'm glad that I got you to come onto my show to talk about the music, your health issues, any site they can go to help out to see, for donations or for potential donor. Like, how do we go about doing this? How do we get information about that?
Well, I have a Facebook group out there. Jason Rumball needs a kidney. So if you're on Facebook, you can join the group there. If you're
Okay.
not on social media, I can provide you with my email or phone number. You can reach out to me that way if you like,
Hmm.
and find out more information that way. But you could also go to beadonor.ca to register to be a kidney donor or organ donor.
Hmm.
There's some great information on my Facebook group there, so you can join me and we can
Sure.
start the conversation there.
And I will be posting all the links at the end of the podcast with your email. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you, they can, whether it's like checking in, saying hello, help me out, or information about the kidney disease and what they can do to help out. I'm going to post it up all on my site. Jason, listen, man, I appreciate you coming down. Is there anything you want to talk about that you want to talk about? Any question, anything you want to say to everyone that's listening in?
Well, I just want to say it's been a real pleasure to be a part of the Toronto dance music scene. I've learned a lot in my 8 years. I've really seen how vibrant it is, and how there's so many DJs out there that want to be heard, and I've met so many positive people. Like sure, there's some negative ones that I've come across, but there's been a lot of positive people that DJs and just people that I've met on the dance floor, and
Right.
coming to different parties, and we're all about positive scene. You might be going through some personal issues in your life, but when it comes to going out for a night to go dancing, and you put all your issues aside, and it's coming together as just one people, and
fantastic. You know what? And I think that also that any upcoming DJs or any house DJs or any DJs, for the fact that that want to be heard on the air, Jason is all ears. He's very communicative. He will, you want to hit him up to be on his radio show. By all means, all the links will be up on the website. You can link him up and check him out and ask him questions and how he could be on the next show on the Block Party. So
exactly.
And that's great. And I think that's fantastic that that there are so many DJs out there that listen. There's a lot of hidden talent out there, right? So
there is definitely, yeah.
And they want to be heard, and I think that you have a great network, and we all support it, and we all work together, like with my radio station, with your radio station, with anybody that's out there. We're all working together. And Jason, I want to thank you for taking the time to come out and sit and talk to me about the podcast and about you, your health, the house music scene. And we didn't talk about the wine, but we'll talk about that another time. But I think more of the healthness of you and about the music, the COVID, how you deal with it. And people want to hear about it. And, really, I'm really happy that I got you on board here. So Jason, thank you very much for coming on board. And I really appreciate it very much.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I just want to say thanks again to all the people out there that have supported me, and keep on tuning into the Block Party, and keep on reaching out, and that we're all in this together, and we're going to get through this.
We are, and you said it. We will get through this. This will pass as long as we stay social distancing, stay at home, wash your hands. We will get through this. We will become stronger and stronger. So, Jason, thanks, brother, very much for being on here, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. My pleasure.
Great.